guys, it's Rob Sutton. We're back today with another video, and today we're going to talk about these folding phones that just got released last month from Huawei and Samsung, and what I think about the technology and these phones specifically. In true fashion, today we are going to be enjoying a beer during this conversation, and today we're going to be looking at this Monday Night Brewing Imperial Stout out of their Garage collection. So, let's get into it. Alright, let's pour this out before we get started. Alright, so I'll tell you about the beer here in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and get into these phones because I'm anxious to talk about them. I know you've heard a lot of other reviewers talk about these phones, but I thought I'd give my little unique twist on this and just see what you guys thought. So, first, both of these phones kind of seem like half-baked versions, and that's a little bit weird for me at the price point they're trying to introduce them at. I do get, well, if we're in $1,400 phone range already, so to come out with a flagship device like they're showing behind me, it's going to have a premium price tag in comparison with what's already out there. I get that. The problem is right now it seems like everyone's in the race to do something new first instead of doing what's right. And especially from Samsung, who really prides themselves on how much their screen actually takes up the length of the phone. That front portion of that phone really has a lot of black space, which was odd, to say the least. Where the Huawei spins backwards and gives you full screen on both sides. Really, at this point, it's kind of immaterial, though. It really seems like they're pushing beta products out to the public to see if it will even stick. And I think you're going to find the people who buy these phones are going to be left with, beta versions of it when maybe version 2 and 3 will be a lot better. But that's not even really my point. My point is, just because we have folding and rolling OLED technology, does it mean it should be incorporated into phones? What we're seeing with both of these is when you actually fold it out, you're left with this really awkward aspect ratio. It's not any standard aspect ratio of photos, videos, or anything else. They are pointing towards multitasking, which is what a bigger screen with a weird ratio would be good for. But when you actually put it in for like YouTube videos or anything else, you end up with a lot of dead space. You have this huge screen you're not even using. So yes, you can see, comments and stuff down on a YouTube page, but if you're just watching a straight up movie, it's not really of all that much benefit, and you're left with a 4.7 inch screen on the front of the Samsung at least. That's not really that much of a benefit either, other than texting and making phone calls. So what are we left with here? We're left with a technology that I think they're trying to find out how consumers are going to use it. And in this case, I think they're really just testing the market and using other people's money to prove out that market, not knowing where it's actually going to head. Everyone's looking for that next iPhone. Ever since the iPhone release by Apple, with the original one, everyone's been looking for that next leg up. It was the most innovative product for the cell phone market at the time, and really since then, other than the quality improving of cameras, the quality improving of apps, the quality improving of processors, the form factor has not changed that much at all. If you put an original iPhone next to a most recent phone, all you see is the screen has gotten bigger and the bezels are smaller. So everyone's in a race to find that next form factor. I don't believe this is it. This is not something that brings you that next level of user experience to a phone. If anything, it takes your phone, makes it thin and really thick. Well, everyone's been in a race to get everything so thin so it fit in your pocket better. So what does that solve? Nothing. So really, I find this great technology of folding screens being really lackluster and lost in phones. It's not something we really need. So it really begged the question for me. Just because you can do something, should you? There are cases where technology is pretty much mind-blowing, but when you try to shove it into a product, it doesn't really work all that well. So where do I see this bendable technology with OLED screens really coming into play? For me, take for instance the iPad Pro. Awesome tablet, but can only fit in pockets that are made for laptops. What if you could fold that tablet in half and you could fit it in more pockets in your backpack or your carry-on bags? It makes it a lot more portable, but still being a big overall device. Even more to that, you could take that technology and you could make it so, hey, look, I want my iPad at a 45-degree angle. What happens when you lay it on a table? You could have a keyboard screen come up on one half and your documents and everything else you're doing on the other half. It could turn into more of a laptop type device, what people have been asking for. So you could really use this foldable technology to where in worst case, you're still in the same situation you were before. In best case, it's more portable and you get more features for that foldable technology. In a phone, you're really kind of trying to shoehorn this technology into something that it really isn't needed. I mean, how many people really use 3 different apps on their phone at one time? I know I don't. I've never had a need to. Maybe there are certain specific case scenarios where people do need that, but it really does seem like they're trying to bring the phone up to a tablet instead of making a tablet more like a laptop. I do see that technology taking off in a huge way in that market. It just seems like they're going after the phone market first because it is the most popular, it does have the most devices, and it's where you could test out that technology the quickest. So those are my thoughts on the foldable screens and phones. I really don't see much use for it, especially for the premium price difference. So now that we've talked about that, let's get into this. So it's the Como Telamas Tequila Barrel Huaracha Imperial Stout. 12.5% alcohol by volume. For those of you that don't know, Monday Night Brewing is a pretty big fixture here in Atlanta, and they followed a trend I've seen in a lot of different breweries around the country. What they did was they took all their barrel-aged sours and moved them to a different building. With Wicked Weed, you have the Funkatorium. With Monday Night Brewing, you have the Garage. So they do their limited run, limited volume, more experimental beers out of that building, and this is one of those out of it. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit more of the tequila barrel aging and Huaracha to come out in it, but overall, it's a great Imperial Stout. If you are into stouts, it's crazy cold here today, so I was in the mood for something a little bit darker. When you go down the beer aisle right now, everything's a hazy New England style IPA. So everything out of the Garage I've had out of Monday Night has been fantastic. I haven't done any of their really crazy stuff, but if you're looking for a good Imperial Stout or a sour, check out Monday Night. They do a great job, highly recommended. I would be interested to see what you guys think of the whole folding phone option that they just released from Samsung and Huawei. Do you think it's something you would ever use? Phones are already getting so expensive anyway. I don't see how a $2,000 price tag on a phone when you can get an iPad Pro and these other devices that are more powerful with more screen and more functionality actually makes sense. But it might in certain use cases. So let me know in the comments. Until then, on to the next one. Hit the like button if you like this, subscribe, hit the notification button. Really appreciate the support. Until then, on to the next one. Cheers.